So welcome to episode 2 of Inside the Nothing Box with Panners and Turps. Episode 1, obviously we ended up walking through my journey a little bit, finding out a little bit about me, so sorry about that. And episode 2, we're going to do like for like, but we're going to find out a little bit more about this good man, Mr. Pannett. So sit back, watch, listen, enjoy, and be sure to give us some feedback.
It's fun when we're together. It's fun just hanging out. It's fun when you're around. There's nothing better.
This week's episode of Inside the Nothing Box is proudly sponsored by Morrison's Mobility Limited, suppliers of practical and personal products to retired ex-bankers since 2025. Why not try our new range of male wipes? Never again be embarrassed by those pesky piss stains on your beige chinos after that valve-busting, full-piped Peroni, now available in a discreet pub-size 15 white pack.
Morrison's Mobility. Don't get old, get busy. Terms and conditions apply. Morrison's Mobility is not regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
So you've had Botox?
No, I have not had Botox.
Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry.
You shouldn't do that because people will believe you.
Big thank you to our sponsor for stepping in. Not bad. First episode, we've got a sponsor already.
Yeah,
so,
very good.
As I say, a big shout out to Morrison's Mobility for just, seeing the potential in this show, which you believe is true.
100%. When did they go bankrupt? Just out of interest.
I'm not sure exactly. But
Wow, anyway, it's a start. Yeah, thanks for that. Look, big thank you for those of you who have watched episode 1. I think we were over 550 odd views, call them what they will, but please tell all your friends, keep reposting. Big thank you. I think the last time I counted, I actually know only 40 people. So for the amount of, it must be you, Graham. Must be you. Actually,
quite possibly.
Actually, you know Brown's Not for Town?
Yes, I do.
How many books did you sell?
Well, so far, of course, because it's not actually discontinued. About 400.
So you sold 400 books.
I gave quite a few of those away, actually, but yeah, 400 books.
Well, let's go 400.
Yeah, okay.
And it's been out for how many years?
2 and a bit.
2 and a bit. So in 3 days, we got over 550 views through YouTube. Yeah, you need me in your life. That's all I'm going to say. You need me in your life.
Interesting comparison, but 2 years of my life versus 20 minutes of you fanning around. But okay, that's cool.
Sorry, I thought you was going to say thank you.
Anyway, we did have some good feedback.
Did we?
Right, which we're pleased about. And we've also had one email onto our email address, of course, which is. I'm just going to read this. This is from a friend of mine, actually,
right.
A guy called Steve the Cheese. That's not his actual name, but he knows a little bit about cheese. So I thought I'd just read this out. It says, just wasted half an hour of my life that I won't get back. Watching a beefy Botham lookalike, which apparently is you.
Ian Botham?
Yeah, have you ever been accused of looking like...
No. I've had a few looky-likeys, but not Ian Botham.
That's a shame, because he's a hero of mine, Ian Botham. Or was a hero, obviously, until he started...
Anyway, get on with the bloody email.
Doing those foot massager adverts that put me off.
Yeah, fair point.
How the mighty have fallen. And talking to a blank in a scarf and a ridiculous top knot. So a little bit of 70s language came in there.
Okay.
Some of it was average.
Right.
But if you dare say any more of that corporate, again, a word I'm not going to use, I will report you both to the corporate jargon police.
Oh, did we?
And apparently we did use a little bit of corporate jargon, of course, one of the things that we're going to take the piss out of. So we promised not to... apparently I used the word curated, which apparently is jargony.
Right.
And you said coping strategy 72 times. So apparently those things we're not allowed to say anymore. So
okay.
We will try our best in future not to indulge in any old corporate nonsense.
Well, Steve the Cheese, thank you for your feedback.
Appreciate it.
We will learn from our misdemeanours of corporate jargon and move on. Steve the Cheese, there we go. Does he actually exist, or you made that up?
No, it really does exist, yeah.
Okay,
In fact,
fair
we
enough.
drive past his house on the way to the pub, so you can stop and have a chat.
Fair play. Yeah, I'll give him some feedback, and I'll eat them both. I've got images of walking around with elephants at the moment. Didn't he do that over the Himalayas?
I believe he did.
There we go. So anyway, pink shirt feedback.
It's a pink shirt, yeah.
Yeah, little Ralphie pink.
Yeah, very
So,
nice, very nice. Yeah, not on a beach, but nice.
We must pander to our listeners.
Yeah, good to make an effort.
What have you been up to, mate, since episode 1 went out?
Not a lot really. Got a skip still on the driveway, filling that with crap. That's really good fun. Watch my football team get humiliated at the weekend. Same old, same old. A little shout out to my youngest daughter Evie, who's just failed a driving test, unfortunately, this morning, just as we started, for a really, really silly thing, and I'm annoyed at the examiner for being so pedantic. But don't worry, kiddo, you'll be back in there soon and pass, I'm sure.
All the best people pass second time. Okay, so don't worry, Evie.
So that's about it, really. What about you?
Well, you know, I'm a big golf fan, so I watched the Masters. I had literally 4 days of it. I absolutely love it, and happened to fall asleep on Sunday just as Rory teed off on the 10th hole. So I missed 9 holes of the Masters, the last 9 holes. But there we go, he's done it again, which was good. I didn't go to Chelsea because I kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. And I think I mentioned on episode 1 that Luke was completing on his house. So I've been spending sort of 5 or 6 days painting his house, which is coming on. So we're nearly there. So yeah, all good in the hood. And looking forward to getting into the devil of the detail of episode 2. Now, last time we talked a little bit about me. I mean, probably why we got so many views.
Quite a lot about
All right, I'm only messing about. And, you know, my lead up to redundancy, etc., etc. So I mentioned last time that my journey was emotionally slightly different to yours. Yep. So we thought, episode 2, let's get to know this great man a little bit more. I have also researched said intranet and got some questions. Well, that might be a lie, I just made them all up. And then I'm going to hand over to you, Graham. You tell me a little bit about your banking journey. How does that sound?
Yeah, I can do that.
Does that sound good? Okie dokie. So I saw a little bit of feedback. I think it was on LinkedIn that the man bun was really working. So on the man bun theme, are you a Head and Shoulders man or a L'Oreal man?
So are we doing the either or thing again?
Oh, just get.
So you just copied what I did. You're not come up with anything original.
Well, the feedback was it was really good.
Oh,
okay. Can you just answer the freaking
so what was
questions
the options again?
No, sod you. I'm not going to answer it again. Your man. I'm being polite to you
what,
as well.
What shampoos was it?
Wow. Head and Shoulders
Yes.
or L'Oreal?
Head and Shoulders, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do occasionally suffer with a little bit of dry scalp, so
Okay.
absolutely.
Head and Shoulders aren't just for dry scalp, you know. They do one for no sheen as well. Thank you for that. I had you as a L'Oreal man, actually. So I know that when you go to Barbados, you've got a particular restaurant that you like to go in. It's called Fish Pot. Now, we're inside the nothing room box. Would you like to have a meal with Bob Marley or Paul Weller in the Fish Pot?
I think because it's in the Caribbean, it would need to be Bob Marley.
Sure.
But I'd love to take my mate Paul there as well. But yeah, so given that I'm only allowed one, I'd go Bob Marley, being in the Caribbean. That would feel right.
Feel right, okay.
Although he wouldn't be much of conversation at the moment, to be fair.
Yeah, but just... People know, all right? Okay, on the theme of your love for music, would you rather be in a band yourself or would you rather be a successful promoter of a band?
I'd rather be in a band.
Really?
Yeah.
It would have to be
a
really shit,
band.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okie doke.
Yeah, we play really basic cover tracks.
Yeah, not like when there's hardly any drumming required in it.
Yeah, those ones, yeah.
But let's say you were now in this band, right, and you were playing the
Lucky
drums.
I said that one then, wasn't it? I should have gone the other one.
Oh, it's all right. I could have
adapted.
I could have freestyled. So you're now playing the drums and you are asked by 2 bands. They would like you to play with them.
Yep.
But you can only choose one.
Yep.
The Wailers, Bob Marley's group,
Yeah, I know that.
or the Jam.
I think it would have to be the jam.
Really?
Yeah, because reggae drumming is quite a different skill.
What as in difficult?
And that's quite a long way down my list of things to get to. Is
Fair enough.
yeah, it's a whole different technique. So I'm probably more likely to be able to drum to jam songs, albeit probably a lot slower
Okay.
than Rick Buckley
I'm
did.
getting a little bit bored, so it's the jam, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So, being an average drummer, as you've just at best, so would you rather just be an average drummer for the rest of your drumming career, or would you like the opportunity to represent Barbados, your second love, at bowls?
I don't think they actually play bowls in Barbados. I mean, we could set one up, I suppose. So, what was the first option?
So, continue for the rest of your life just to be an
being
average
average
drummer, or represent Barbados at bowls.
Well, I'd do
Bearing in
both
mind,
then, wouldn't I?
Lisa
Yeah.
was angling
Yeah.
towards you
No,
being
I know why
a
you've
bowler.
Asked, I know why you've asked me the question.
You could wear your.
No, I'll go for the bowls then, because then
Would
I can
you?
do both, can't I? I can play bowls and get better at drumming then.
Okay.
Bit of
well,
a flaw in the question. I
Well,
think.
such a feedback on the questions. I've got you a little present.
Oh, wow.
And I hedged my bets on the answer. So this should help you.
Thank you very much.
Freshly delivered yesterday.
It's quite heavy, everyone out there. I bet that noise is good on the camera.
The noise is terrible. Sorry, it's just opening said present.
That's,
This is a no expensive sped.
That's very, very kind of you. Thank you very much.
All right,
Very-
mate.
Very kind of you. Thank
Got
you.
your own bowling set
My
now.
own bowling set, which I can put down there and do something with later.
There we go. So let's.
That's very kind of you. I'm touched.
Yeah, well, $6.99 from Amazon. Best money I've ever spent. Right, moving on. Let's come away from the average drumming. Would you rather? You mentioned Death in Paradise last time.
I did, yeah.
Would you rather? Graham's also a fan, by the way. Let me just put that
Not
out.
quite
there.
like you. I didn't set up a WhatsApp group about it.
Shush. I didn't. Well, maybe I did. Would you rather have a walk-on part in Death in Paradise or another programme that you particularly like, Ted Lasso?
Oh,
Ooh.
I think probably Death in Paradise because of where it's set. And Ted Lasso's set in Richmond, just down the road. I can go down there when I bloody like, can't I?
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'll go Death
Death in
in
Paradise, purely so you can go to
A trip to
Guadeloupe, not
Ooh.
because Samarie doesn't exist.
No. Well, it
would
does
you-
in your mind. doesn't it?
You've been taking a piss out of me a lot, and we're not that far in. So, would you like to be known as a credible author, Brown's not for town, or a famous podcaster?
I think neither is likely. But
Correct.
I'll go for the book.
Oh, right.
I'll go for the book. Yeah.
Is that because you need me?
No, just because it's more difficult to
Okay.
do.
I know you're a bit of a petrol head, and your love of cars over the years, but I'm going to pick out two of your ex-cars, a bit like an ex-wife, and you have the choice of having one of these back at no cost.
Okay.
VW camper van or Wrangler Jeep?
Oh, difficult again. I think I'd have the camper van
Yeah, I thought
because
that.
I've been looking at them a lot lately.
Are you falling back in love?
Yeah, there's still something about them. But I get a newer one that doesn't, can
Sure.
go up hills.
Okay, yeah, oh God, yeah.
unlike the other one.
Just
which-
don't go to the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
We're on the home straight, a few more to go. So if you happen to be travelling to Barbados with your kids, would you all sit together in economy class on the plane? Or would you bag yourself an upgrade and turn left and leave them alone and sit in business?
I would 100% let them sort themselves out.
Yeah.
And I would go turn left and sit in club. If I could afford it.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
isn't-
So that's never happened, has it?
I've flown club before, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Points, Avios and Virgin points.
So now we're in Barbados.
Yes.
Yeah, you've met up with the kids again. So you've had numerous visits there. Graham's been there so many times. He's now been inaugurated as an honorary Bayesian with the lovely Lisa. Now, if you were in one of your regular haunts, Zacchio's, I know you've gone off it a bit recently, and the audience that you happened to be drinking with were led to believe that you were a famous film director.
Yes.
Now, would you come clean with the truth, or would you
Oh,
go
no.
along with the fantasy?
So by this, I think what you're suggesting is you told a beach seller that I was a director of porn films.
I might have done.
That's what you told this bloke. He believed you, and this bloke spent the whole evening
Yeah.
trying to convince me that he should be in one of his films.
We're just
one of my
after the
films.
answer.
And his actual, I know what he said, and I am fully equipped for the job, is what he told me.
And can my sister be a part as well?
So I've forgotten what the question actually was, but I'll go for...
Would you go along with the fantasy or would you come clean?
well, as I did, you made me go along with it for a whole evening.
Good man.
Yeah.
So if you was to be having breakfast in Barbados at a high-end cafe,
Yes.
almost like a healthy retreat, and you ordered hard-boiled eggs, would
Yeah.
you prefer chicken eggs
No,
or duck eggs?
Duck.
Duck
100%.
eggs.
They're much nicer. They're much richer. They're yellower, bigger. Duck every time.
Snob. Moving away from our Bayesian treats, so you worked at Lloyds Bank and
did.
at Barclays.
I did.
During your career, which one did you prefer? Was it Lloyds? Is it Barclays? Green or blue?
I'll go blue because it's the one I can remember the clearest.
Okay, fair play. And then final question. Throughout your latter years in Barclays, would you want to be remembered as a future-thinking maverick or a positive disruptor?
I'd argue two things might be the same, actually.
Just answer.
I like future thinking, actually.
Future thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I quite
Cool.
like that.
Which you were
Quite
brilliant at, by the way.
Quite like that.
So that's given us quite a nice segue, Graham. Thank you for sharing that with
So
me.
I was fearing the worst, actually.
Was
but
you?
I feel like I got away there, so thank
Well,
you
that's
for being gentle.
what I do. So when I teed this session up, we talked about
Yeah.
how we then went into how I then left Barclays and a couple of bumps along the road that I had as well around imposter syndrome, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I don't think that's corporate jargon, Steve the Cheese. It's true. Tell me a bit about your career. I know you started in Lloyds, ended, like you just mentioned, with Barclays.
Yep.
Walk us through it. I mean, you had 40 odd years, and I know a lot came out in Brown's Not for Town, but I know our listeners would be really, really want to get to know you and listen to your pathway.
So, like you, I left school at 16 with, well, I say like you, I did have more than one geography GCSE, but I certainly went straight into work from school. And
Delighted for you.
yeah, first job, as you say, was in Lloyds in Fulham Broadway, or it was called Walham Green back in those days, where spent a few years, like you, doing all the back office jobs, you know, from sorting up checks in the morning, going on the counter, all of that kind of stuff. So did that for a few years. Worked in a couple of other branches in the West End, and then eventually got into training, delivering stand-up training, which I loved actually. It was quite good. That was good fun. Did that for a couple of years. Then was lucky to kind of go back in and manage a couple of branches again up in London. And then from there, I don't know how it happened really. I was trying to work it out, but I kind of then ended up in HR,
Right.
which was funny.
No, just where you're going to end.
Well, yeah,
With
there's
HR ending
irony
you.
in that. But I thought you were kind of suggesting that it wasn't an appropriate role for someone like me. I remember actually going to
Such a bellend.
no, honestly, I remember going for a drink with Lisa's new boss, Australian guy, a broker guy, and he said, "Oh, what do you do, mate?" And I said, "Oh, I work in HR."
Sorry, was he Welsh?
Yeah. I said, "I work in HR." He went, "Jesus Christ, mate, that's a job for Sheila's." And
right.
and I thought, okay, fair enough. So it's a bit typically Australian and typically rude. But apart from people telling me I shouldn't be in HR, I actually learned to enjoy HR. It's quite good. And I kind of worked in the bit of HR that didn't give a monkeys. We kind of were quite...
It'd be perfect for you then, wouldn't it?
No, but we weren't. It was different back in those days, and we might come on to that later. So anyway, HR, from there, I strangely ended up in compliance via a kind of weird route, which again is not kind of a role I ever saw myself doing. And when I was in compliance, my boss at the time then left the bank, went on a sabbatical, and then after about 6 months, and I kept in touch with him, he said, "How do you feel about," well, his actual words were, "How firmly seated are you in the Lloyd's saddle?" Which was his way of saying, how easily is it going to be for me to convince you to...
It's a very snobbish way of being headhunted,
I thought it was
isn't
a beautifully, wonderfully eloquent way of saying it. Anyway, the point is, he'd just gone over to Barclays to set up effectively a new compliance
Sure.
function and asked me to go over and work with him, which I did. So I worked in compliance over there in Barclays for about 10 years in the end. Did another couple of transformation roles, and then ended up actually...
Is that a bit of corporate jargon, transformation roles?
because they were roles that transformed the business. So it might be,
Wow.
but you may remember did a customer experience program, an award-winning customer experience program, which I believe still has.
What was it called?
It was called 5-star customer.
5-star,
experience.
yeah.
You may have heard of it.
What was the award you got? Some chocolates or something? But some Ferrero Rochers you got?
No, same as no. I'm not going to tell you. And and I think I then got sacked after that, but managed to keep my job.
That was your award.
Yeah, I did actually got made redundant.
You did? I
And I
remember.
had to find another job. And bless him, a guy called Richard Smalley, that many of you will know and that we may well have on this show in the future.
Hopefully, legend.
Legend indeed. And one of those guys that you meet in your career who kind of goes out on a limb for you.
Yeah.
Offered me a job to come back as working with you as an area director, whatever
Yeah.
it's called. And that's when I was put into East London as an area director. So running, for those people don't know the bank, looking after 20 or so branches as was. And so I worked in East London, which was a real kind of full circle, if you like, from kind of being in branches 40 or 35 years prior to that. And absolutely loved that. I'm not sure if it's the best job I've ever had. I've never really thought about it. I absolutely loved it. I thought the people were fantastic. It was a really tough place to work, but real people. It was great. And then kind of structural change. I got moved to work more locally in West London.
Yeah.
Didn't have quite the same buzz for me. It was a different thing. And of course then COVID hit. And that was kind of it. That was 42 years gone.
What strikes me, Graham, and I don't suppose I really ever appreciated this when I worked with you, you've got a real breadth throughout your career.
Yeah.
HR, compliance, training, branch network, and look, as much as it pains me to say it, when you were in your area manager role, call it what you will, you were absolutely loved by your people, mate. You were absolutely loved by your people, and not just your people. Everyone else would look over the fence and they'd see you do your stand-up, your what was it, jobs to be done, Mo's Kitchen. So sorry, these are little things that Graham, like projects he did for the wider audience, not just in his own area. He did it for the region, and he's always been brilliant on his feet. And you did a phenomenal job, which then sort of takes us up to, like you've just said, you were in West London, we came out of COVID and we had a structural change, right?
Yep. One of many, of course.
Yes,
Yep.
one of many, the merry-go-round of 2 year structure changes. And I suppose that's where we probably want to sort of turn right now, the outcome where you then left Barclays. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Well, I got sacked.
Yeah.
I think technically it's called made compulsorily redundant,
Yeah,
but I think my take on it would be I got sacked.
yeah. And you got sacked from West London, didn't you?
I believe I was in West London, yeah.
So they must have given that to an absolute legend to pick the pieces up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yes. So you took over.
Oh, yes, I did, didn't I? I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I think I was still on gardening leave when we went on a holiday together.
Oh, no, it was difficult, wasn't it?
Interesting that. I did spend the whole of the 10 days telling everyone I met that you'd taken my job. But yeah, so that's what happened, yeah.
And so look, I left of my own accord. I know you say you didn't get sacked, right?
No, I did.
Yeah, I suppose you did. I'm just trying to make you feel good. Talk to our audience about, your feelings in that journey of finding out that you weren't going to be part of the setup moving forward.
Yeah.
You touched on we couldn't speak for, what was it, 3 months or something, which was ridiculous. But then, how do you deal with that as emotionally?
I don't think I didn't deal with it. I suppose looking back, and I don't know, someone looking in would say I didn't deal with it very well because I got quite cross about it. If I'm honest. I mean, in terms of how it happened, you'll remember we got a phone call, as we often did. We all had to go on a call, and we got told tomorrow you're going to go in and see your boss, and you're going to kind of talk about next steps. So did that. I remember being on the train going into town thinking, oh, good, I'll have that, probably have that branch. And I was working out the journeys that I was going to kind of do and my new patch, because I kind of worked out where I was going to end up. Because like you said last week, I thought, well, I'm doing okay, right? I'm not the worst here. My performance is at a level which means that if it's performance driven, then I'll make the cut.
Sure.
As I worked out the numbers, there wasn't going to be that many reductions. So when I walked into the room to see my boss at the time, and he basically said, so there's no longer a role in the organisation for you. I was like, I genuinely did a double take. I thought, I've not heard you correctly. Literally, could you just say that again? And he said it again. It was the same answer, unfortunately. And no, I didn't react well. Because basically,
What do you mean you didn't react well? In what way? How did you
both
play that out?
in the meeting, which I won't go into what I said, but what I didn't do is I didn't kind of think clearly. Basically, I thought you're saying I'm the shittest director or whatever you've got. That's what you're saying. Obviously, my boss at the time denied that was the case, but I was kind of struggling to see why wouldn't be true, because the outcome seemed kind of in line with that. So when I say I didn't do it very well, I wasn't very good at kind of being grown up about it, in as much that I didn't then stand back and say, okay, let's have a look at the rationale that has been given for why I'm no longer needed or thrown on the scrappy, because I kind of decided to take it. So I got emotional about it. And I just didn't even look at the kind of rationale form that's done on you, that you're allowed to look at and appeal. Because I actually thought, well, if you don't want me, I don't want you. So rather than kind of thinking maybe I could just look at that and...
So you're childish?
It was a bit. It was a childish kind of reaction. So I said, no, I just thought to myself, no, if you don't want me, then I'm off. I'm not gonna appeal. I'm not gonna try and stay. I'm not gonna look for another role. I'll let as you say. I mean, that was some of the worst bits. Is we had to then wait 3 months to... Yeah. So it's really difficult to lead a team of people, a big team, knowing that when they're having their kind of annual awards ceremony in January, you're at home watching bloody Bargain Hunt, or would be. So I couldn't. Not that I don't like Bargain Hunt.
I was going to say,
I'm a big fan of Bargain Hunt.
All fans of Bargain Hunt, it's great.
So it was like I just didn't. I just thought, right, fate is what it is, and I'm going to go.
Sure.
So I think for people faced with redundancy, they should probably, if they can, they should behave a little bit better than I did. I mean, being faced before actually being made redundant, I think you've just got to get on and do the bit. Yeah. I mean, there's always this spectre, isn't it, in the banks especially, of the next restructure, as we said.
The reason why I wanted to go down this route now, being faced with redundancy, is it's just so much more common that we hear redundancies are coming around. And we're not talking about Barclays here, we're talking about industry full stop, right? There are more and more, with everything being automated in this world, good old human beings are less needed, as it were. So redundancy is a big deal. And then you've got voluntary or compulsive, of which obviously you left under. Just touch on, if you had your time again through that process, for our listeners, is there any one or two things that you would go, oh, we should have done that differently? Or not really?
Well, I mean, in terms of actually being made redundant, we didn't have any lead up, did we? So we were, there was constant threat of restructure. We lived with that. That was just part of the job. We had no notice, right? So we had a day. If I knew that there was a big thing coming up, I think my advice would be to anyone: you've just got to get on and be the best you can, right? And that's if you want to stay.
Yeah.
But there's no point kind of worrying about it unduly. I think this is probably a bit jargony, but we talked before about, you can only control the controllables, right? So don't worry about stuff that you can't control. You've just got to get on and be your best, I think. When it gets to actually being made redundant, if you don't want to be made redundant, I guess to me the thing there is you've got to try, if you can, not to take it personally. Although I did, because in my case I thought I thought it was, and we might come on to that. You've got to try and not take it personally, and I think you've got to try and realise that most of the time it is just because, shit happens and you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But perhaps most importantly, treat it as then that opportunity to take stock of what you want. Because especially in banking, this in our world, and we're guilty to an extent of it too, we stay in roles or in jobs or in companies for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can become a little bit, insular is probably the wrong word, but you can become quite kind of inward looking, if you like, and you forget
institutionalised a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
But you kind of you forget there's a big world out there. Now I know it's a tough world, but it's a big world out there. Skills, especially if you've been in big corporate for many years, are very transferable to other businesses, and you kind of forget that there are other things out there. Maybe when you're forced into a decision, when, for example, redundancy, or even if you're thinking about being offered, the possibility of taking voluntary, is thinking about, is there something else I want to do?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people hit a point in their career where they kind of go, is this it? Is this really as good as it gets?
I think the reason why I wanted to draw it out for two reasons. One, whilst it felt like that for you, Graham, you kind of you retired, right? So your fallback option was, you were kind of probably looking over one eye with retirement anyway. But the other bit is, a lot of our listeners maybe have redundancy circling, and they've got a mortgage to pay, or they've they're an age where retirement's not an opportunity just yet. So I just think it's just worth hearing from you. Be the best you can, transferable skills. Don't ever underestimate, by the way, what good grounding that you have in whatever organisations you've had.
And can I say, I think that's a really important point, that I'm anyone listening to this, please don't feel sorry for me. I'm not sure they will anyway.
No, please don't.
Because I was in a lucky enough to be in a very fortunate position of having been in work for 40 odd years with let's be honest, good pension behind me. So I was very fortunate. So the downside wasn't that great. So I could afford to be a little bit blasé about it, and I can afford to sit here and say to people, try not take it personally, and try and kind of look at it as an opportunity. I get that it's not always that easy. But having said that, I think people should try and do that. So no, I don't kind of in any way kind of say that it's not horrible for some people and difficult, because they're in very difficult situations. And ironically, in my case, as you kind of mentioned there, if someone had the decency to come up to me before the restructure and take me for a pint and said, look, we need to reduce the team, what's your thinking? Although it was probably a little bit too early for me, I probably would have said, yeah, go on in. I'll probably take a walk. If you want to give me a check, I'll probably go now. Not ideal, but bearing in mind it's probably going to happen in a year or so's time. But no one had that conversation.
And there's the flip side, in my mind, of real good leadership, of being a people leader. Because in episode 1, I was very much included, and you used the words in episode 1 of, so you trusted the system, did you?
Yeah.
So look.
Well, I didn't trust the system.
Well, that's pretty evident, and understandably. But Graham, look, thanks for sharing with everyone your journey, which brought you to the end of 40 years of fantastic in the bank. You've done a bloody great job, and you were touched by loads of people, mate. You really, really, really were. So thanks for sharing it with us, mate.
You're welcome.
Cool. Right, thanks everyone for listening or watching episode 2 of Inside the Nothing Box with Panners and Turps.
When we did this before, by the way, you said dialing in. Just old habits die hard.
Anyway, thank you. Such a knob at times. I was on a roll then. So anyway, look, thank you for listening or watching. And thanks, Graham, for walking us through that journey, which is quite emotional. And I appreciate you really sharing sort of warts and all with us.
Right.
Graham was obviously, as you would get from the questions, gone on through retirement to be a completely average drummer. Wrote his particularly average book, Brown's Not for Town. And continues to go to Barbados and actually has almost got residency there. But he's living his best life, right? So don't you worry about that. And he's a bloody good mate of mine. So I'm proud to call you that, mate. I really am.
Right.
So what have people got to look forward to?
So I think next episode we're going to talk a little bit about the wonderful world of the corporate conference and some kind of issues with or ways of maybe dealing with that, or some of our experiences and some of the kind of things in those events that we may or may not enjoy.
Sure.
And that's it really. We as per before, and just a reminder, sorry. I know we banged on about me today, and we certainly talked about Turps as well before. Again, we did that deliberately just to give context for future episodes. We promise it won't be quite as self-indulgent. I'll try not to be quite as self-indulgent going forward. But yeah, we've got some other topics lined up. But as we said last time round, if you've got anything that you would particularly like us to cover or talk about, or share any stories or experiences that we've had around us, something important to you, then please do let us know. The easiest way is via our email address, which is panners@insidethenothingbox.com. So feel free to send us any messages, just like Steve the Cheese did, and we'll do what we can to accommodate. I think we're looking to film and release another episode in maybe 3 weeks or so. So
keep them coming.
Keep them coming. If you watch this and you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate it. Let that algorithm do whatever that algorithm does.
Yeah.
And I think we're there, mate. We look forward to seeing everyone next time.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.